Today we have a very, very special guest, Ashley, who is creating amazing, beautiful, magical psychedelic art, uh, which is being admired right now for thousands and thousands of people. Uh, and a little bit of introduction. Uh, we started this project Beyond the Courage with amazing guest in Poland, Jacek Walkiewicz, who is a superbly beautiful human being, and he's an amazing mentor and speaker. Uh, his TEDx has been seen for like 9 million people, and he is fascinating all the generations. And today, Ashley, you are our first global guest.
Wonderful. How cool.
My heart very deeply told me that you are the right person to start expanding this project and to share uh, your art and your creativity with the world.
Well, that's really cool. And that was before you even knew that I was Polish.
Yes, that's another amazing thing that you thought that we contacted you before because you're Polish, and there was out of the picture we found out later that you have Polish roots. And I remember when we spoke privately like a month ago, you told me that amazingly beautiful and touchy story. Maybe you can elaborate on that when you were on ayahuasca in the jungle and you were trying to stop the Holocaust. Can you tell us that
Oh
story?
wow, that's starting off on a light note. Yeah, this so my grandmother came over on the boat from Poland, and I always wanted to know more about that, but it's also very difficult for my mom's side of the family to talk about. But yeah, I was in I think it was my very first ayahuasca journey. And a lot of times, ayahuasca takes you to your roots and to your family lineage, and a lot of work around like the mother and relationship with that. And yeah, so I'm in the jungle and I went through, well, first it was my lineage was like in the roots of a tree. So I'm looking at a tree and it's showing me all these like roots and knots and patterns in the tree, and it's representing like going through the history of my family. Is like, and every time there's a knot, something like happened that I had to untangle or undo. And at some point in that, I find myself in the Holocaust and just feeling the weight and the struggle. And I don't know, it's kind of hard because memories are interesting. um, but yeah, it was just like super tragic. And then I hear this laughing above me, and I'm like, how could you be laughing at a time like this? This is like so tragic and awful. Like, how could you be laughing? And it was ayahuasca being like, you're on ayahuasca in the jungle of Peru. Why, how can you stop the Holocaust? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, what are you trying to do to like change history? And at that point I kind of let go. But the ultimate lesson for me in that was, when there's a problem or there's something that you have to fix, it will come right to you and say, hey, this is an obstacle, you need to fix me. Don't go searching for problems, because then you'll always find them. And then you can't do good for people if you're so drained because you're just trying to find problems over and over and over that you never get a solution. You just dig even deeper. And it was more about like, when there's something in front of you that you need to fix, it comes right here and you solve it and you move to the next thing. And I think sometimes people can go about trying to solve things for other people before they're looking at their own self and their inside and their own life. They're trying to fix things that are outside of their realm. And so they're not doing a good job at fixing things because they're not in right alignment with themselves and the universe and spirit or whatever you believe in those realms.
Oh yeah, but that's amazing. that how much wisdom can we gain from those sessions with psychedelics. All we talk about it here is for educational purposes. We got to mention that. And I have a, a box from you that
Oh
when you send me the
yeah.
piece of
Yay.
your art. I haven't opened it yet. I decided to support Ashley and buy a beautiful cosmic hat.
Yay.
Uh, oh wow, it's beautifully packed. uh, oh wow, it's so beautiful. Look at
Yay.
this.
There you go. It suits you. It
It's
matches.
all
It matches
it's all
everything
handmade,
you
right?
got going on. Yeah, it's all hand painted.
Beautiful. Uh, so vivid colors and it's really really beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It suits you so well.
So you are right now in your house in North Carolina, right?
Yeah, I
And
live in the Appalachian Mountains.
such a beautiful place. And
Yeah.
you mentioned us that you have this huge dream to convert your house and garden into the like a psychedelic museum.
Yeah, yep. We've been working on it for a long time, and it's kind of one of those things where you get really excited to do everything, and then you realize it's like slow and steady, bit by bit. It's like a long-term goal. Yeah, yeah. Um, I've always kind of known what I was here to do. As much as you forget it, every time I remember it, it's so like vibrant and bold and obvious. So I just keep going down that feeling, and it's creating art and sharing my art and um yeah, and I think that, we can go back to psychedelics. Some people are meant to trip and take lots of psychedelics and they need that and it's just who they are and it's easy for them and it's a way, and some people are not. I don't think, I've experimented and grown with like all kinds of psychedelics, but I do believe that music and art, like I'm a channel and a transmitter because I've had so many psychedelic experiences. I'm taking those experiences and putting them in the paint and putting them in the art. So looking at this art is like a microdose of a psychedelic. You're getting like a very subtle energetic kind of upgrade by looking at it. It's giving you that consciousness without having to go through. Although psychedelics can be very intense for some people, and I've gone very deep with them, and I think they're an incredible medicine, but they're becoming so widespread that people are trying to use it as like an easy fix, and that's not what it is.
Yes, it's a process, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, you mentioned before when we spoke privately that for you being on the ayahuasca session, that reality is for you more real than when you are in the grocery store and you're buying bread and milk.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I've taken more time, especially because it's summer and being in nature and getting back into my body is really important. But when I'm painting, I go off into like spirit consciousness to where like I'll be working on my painting and getting really deep, and then I look around my house and everything looks like like it looks like I'm on psychedelics. It just like I tune my brain to that vibration when I'm painting, that when I walk around or I step outside, everything is moving and wiggling and it's just the same experience. And there's I think DMT is released naturally. It's a naturally occurring substance. And I just think that humans have kind of evolved out of being in that state of awareness because we do things like drive cars and operate machines, and like we have to be in different states of consciousness. I think like earlier humans probably operated with more of a psychedelic consciousness. We've kind of evolved out of it. And that's why I think psychedelics are so popular now, because they're like bringing us back to that like attunement with energy and nature and the cosmos and everything.
It's a beautiful answer. Have you ever tried to create art during the session with psychedelic?
Oh yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
That's actually what I prefer now. Like, I think it's ayahuasca in particular, you kind of leave your body and you travel and you go to these other worlds and planets and meet entities and beings. And I've done a lot of that in my life. So for me now, it's about like bringing what I've learned there into the real. So it's about, I like to paint because that's a way that I can take what I'm learning and put it somewhere and do something with it, because that's what it's all about. You can travel around cosmic realms forever, but it's what you take back and you share with people that it really, that's the work, that's the medicine.
Uh, it looks like you are a very, very happy person, and you got enormous amount of energy. When I look at your
I
posts, like the things you put on the Instagram, I don't spend much time on social media, but from time to time, I'm looking at your account, and it's this the colors are so vivid, so beautiful. It's like it's completely different than everything else. That's why you inspired me so much because you have this natural energy to share your state of consciousness outside to the world.
you know, I think that a lot of people that are like that, it's because they've been through some shit. I think I have to be happy because I've been really the opposite in my life. I've been super depressed and I've seen some hard things. And I think I grew up really young. Like, I think I kind of did my own thing, like from a very young age. And yeah, and also it's, my mission in life. Like, I don't, it's just who I am and I have to be this way. Like if I'm not bright and vibrant and creative and going, then I'm not me. So I think it's easy, and a lot of creatives and a lot of creative people fall into deep depression. And the cure for depression is expression. So you just gotta keep remembering that. And I kind of think it's like, the darker you go, the brighter you can get. And that's kind of how it is with psychedelics too, like the more you dig and you sit with the hard things, the more capability you have to appreciate the positive and the happy and the good things, and um, I also recognize that I'm extremely lucky. Here I am, my grandmother escaped war and struggled her whole life, and I get to be an artist and paint things. So I try to not, take that for granted, like I'm like, I get to do this, so I might as well like do it full on, And I think
So,
gratitude is the yeah.
yeah, I was about to ask you about gratitude. It's really important in our lives. Gratitude. Jeff Foster said once, "It's my dream to do the podcast with him as well." He's an amazing soul. That depression comes from depressed, which means that the body and mind is telling us you need a deep rest right now to come out of the depression.
Mm, yeah.
Uh, and how are you doing with loving yourself?
I feel a lot better than I have in the past. It's I think it happens in every moment. I don't think it's something that you just fix or you don't. I think it's just a constant practice every day, it's always different. And I think people are always changing, especially artists and creatives, you're always evolving and changing. And So you have to find new love for yourself. The same with a partner, you have to choose it every day. It doesn't just, yeah, happen.
And how do you see the future of psychedelic art, of psychedelic
Well,
artists?
because I'm in this bubble. I've been in the psychedelic community. I mean, I've known about psychedelics for pretty much my whole life. But I recognize as I go out and I travel to other places that some people haven't even ever heard of it before. So I think it's just starting to hit the mainstream. And I think I don't know, I really just have to trust the spirit. Like I've tried all the different psychedelics, and for me ayahuasca has been the most dramatic, like the most intense, but also like I trust it. Like I trust the spirit of this plant, and I trust the history of it, and I trust the way that it's spreading. And um yeah, I think that I just have to trust that it's helping us. And I know it's working for humans, and I know it's working for the earth. And I also think it's this whole other entity, spirit, being that um, it doesn't take sides about anything. It's just, you have to trust it, it's like nature. It can be fierce, it can be loving. You just have to trust that it knows. The plants have been here way longer than we have.
By trusting, you mean letting those plants guiding you?
Yeah, and of course it comes with trusting yourself, but that's a really interesting question because like is it yourself or is it this other entity? Or are we just in a simulation and it's all just our own game? Or are we all playing together? Or, my views on that change all the time. And I think I just keep allowing them to change. And I think that's a big part of it too. Just like accepting how much psychologically and physically and creatively people change, day by day. And you just kind of have to like ease into it instead of fighting against it.
What is your paradigm for today? Are we gods or are we in the simulation or something
I
between?
feel really human today. I went out and dancing last night. So for me, like I hadn't been around a bunch of people in a while because I literally am been in my house making art nonstop for like 2 weeks and I don't see anybody.
Wow.
And that's a long time, but it's kind of like I needed to do it to support myself right now, to be honest. But I love to do it, but also there's extra pressure right now to make things work. So yeah, I'm just creating nonstop and I have to create what I want to create. So if I'm doing that, then not everyone's gonna like everything that I make. If I just made all the things that sold, I only made the art that people liked and that sold well, I would lose my soul as an artist. So I have to just keep making what I like and just hope that other people like it too. And most of the time they do, and it's always tricky in that way of making like, every artist wants to make their big masterpiece painting that takes them 3 years, but sometimes you got to make little paintings and you got to do little things that call to you in the moment. And um yeah, so I've been doing that. And then last night I went out dancing and just like was with the community and with old friends and saw music that I really connect with. And yeah, it just brought me back to like, you know, other people's views and opinions. And it felt really real and really human. And I think that's important. It's why community is so important, not just being in our own bubbles too much.
So what is driving you today? What's make you like really happy and what drives you to create such a beautiful life when you have this freedom and you can be very authentic with everything
Creating
you do?
art to me is like breathing. Like I don't know how to survive in the world without constantly making art. And it's, I mean, it's an obsession. You can take that as good or bad, but I think if to be an artist, you must be obsessed with what you're doing. And um yeah, I mean, I started drawing symmetry. I do like really precise, exact symmetry since I was a little kid. And I think it's something like that little kids are kind of enlightened. They're kind of in that psychedelic state. And something about this meditation practice that I used to do making symmetry, because life was really stressful when I was a kid sometimes. And that's how I would like calm down and meditate myself. And I just kept doing it. And that's like the seed, that all my art came from. And it was just my way of taking in energy. Like I take energy from places and I like filter it through my paintings. And it's just like I'm a big mover of energy. Like a lot of people, I can feel like a lot of what's going on. And I get a lot of like psychic visions about people in the world, and it's very overwhelming because I get so much information, and the only way I know what to do with all that information is to make things with it. And in my head, I think it like redirects and like can clean the energy. It's like if I sometimes when I'm live painting at a show or a festival and there's a lot of people around and I'm painting, and someone will come up to me and give me a hug and I just feel so heavy and I'm like, but you can't say no, don't hug me because you're an artist and you're supposed to, so I think a lot of that role is you're almost like being a therapist and like a energy worker, and it's painting, but I think that's where like visionary and psychedelic art is a different level than just painting a bowl of fruit, It's like you're actually, yeah, helping people through their it's emotion. Color is emotion, And you're just like painting, yeah, painting with your emotional, turning emotions into color and into shape and into form.
Yeah, that question came to me right before we start recording the podcast. How do you turn something indescribable into something visual? Because it's a huge
Oh,
challenge, right?
it just practice. I've just been doing it for so long, so many hours. Like I've probably spent more hours painting than most people have spent eating, like or I don't know, like it's insane. And I think even in my community, I paint a lot. Like I create a very fast and I create a lot of art. And I think it's just the way that it moves through me. And I don't know, I've always done it. I've always spent so much time and every day. It makes me feel connected to the cosmos and to I was always like an adventurer. I wanted to like discover, and you can go and travel and physically discover things, but you can also like spiritually discover things, which means you don't even have to move your body. You're just like exploring all different feelings and realms through making art. Yeah.
Beautiful. So it's like a natural process within you, right? That
Yeah, for me it really is. I don't
translating that.
plan anything that I'm painting. Like usually I'm just like feel the color blue. And I think I have some kind of, I don't know, clairvoyant, they have all kinds of words to describe it, but I can like feel when the energy feels like a color. Like you know how the astrology signs kind of go around? I kind of feel like colors are like this, like each day has like a color energy, and a lot of times I'll wake up and like put on something purple and then I end up painting in purple. And like I don't know, color is fascinating. Like we don't know anything about color. It's like this
Yeah,
big mystery, and I just think that's so fascinating. Like yeah, it's just we haven't even tapped into, I don't know.
yeah. That's why we named one of our projects in Europe. It's called Colors, like colors of life, colors of consciousness. I'm fascinated by colors, and Uh, okay, so do, do, uh, do you have this feeling that you are progressing with uh, sessions with psychedelics? Do you see that change within you over the
I'm taking
years?
a break right now. Well, it's interesting. I say that right now. The last I went to Costa Rica a couple of months ago and sat with ayahuasca again. And for me, I think, I mean, I grew up doing peyote church. My aunt and uncle do peyote church. So I did that when I was really young. And then in my 20s, I ate a lot of acid at music festivals. And then I don't really do either of those anymore. And then I sat with ayahuasca like 4 years ago and it changed my life so much.
For the
And
first time?
I mean, it took a while for, because like right after it's over, you're like, everything's amazing, life is beautiful. And then after a while, you're like, oh shit. Because you like have to be authentic. I'm already a person that like when I'm with someone and I feel something weird, I can't ignore it. And that can be helpful and it can also be like really hard, to like run an art business. Like I can't fake things anymore. Like once you sit with ayahuasca long enough, you just have to like be real. And sometimes you lose friends and you change things about your life and things switch and alter and change a lot. And but for me now, I feel really stable with it. Like when I drank ayahuasca a few months ago, I felt so myself. Like the instant I drink it, I just feel like I'm here. This is my world. Like I live, this is me. But it took a lot of work to get there. It was pretty much the focus of my life for the past 4 years. Um, but I mean, for me, I would say like once or twice a year. And the way that I did it was I did like 4 sessions. So I did it for like 2 weeks straight. And then you integrate it. And then yeah, and then the rest of the year is just you're getting lessons and downloads and yeah, a lot of very trippy things happened in life for sure. Seeing things very differently.
I heard that in the near future, uh, we will have like hundreds of new psychedelics, not like 5 or 10 more, but hundreds. They will
That
just
freaks
popping up.
me out when it's like chemical, when it's like, well, already like LSD,
Mhm.
I get it. The hippies in the 60s, and I played the role and I love LSD, but there's something about the feeling of it that felt a little bit glitchy to me. Like there's like a glitch. And I don't know. I just believe it's something that was, it's created in a lab, which is different than something that was wild harvested by humans in the forest, And it's always, I think as much as humans try to like replicate that, I don't know that I trust us. Like I think the plants have higher consciousness and that we need to like lean into that because humans, I don't know, there's always there's yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with imperfection, but humans are imperfect. And that's the beauty of it. But yeah.
Yeah, but if you look from the highest level of oneness, uh, planet Earth grows people. Alan Watts was saying that we are being grown by the consciousness of the planet.
That's
So
true.
through us, the planet, or and then wider, stars can create something which we difficult to produce like naturally. Have you ever tried buffal virus, 5-MeO-DMT?
No, I haven't. And it's because I had a couple friends. A friend of mine wanted to come and use my property and my land to host ceremonies with it. And it was, I don't know, first of all, it was like the beginning of COVID, so I didn't feel comfortable hosting people that I didn't know with such a strong medicine. I was
Mm.
like, everyone was very tense. Like everyone was just very tense. And I was like, this doesn't seem like a good time for everyone to like blast off in my house. Um, but Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think ayahuasca for me, I just give it, I can't imagine like I'm pretty trippy and spacey. I don't think I need to go any farther out. Like, I don't know.
This one is different. You like, there's no you, and the universe is just oneness and infinity. It's undescribable with words. And they like last year, someone created the female version of 5-MeO DMT, which is called 5-MeO Mo, and is way more gentle. It takes longer, like 2 3 hours, not 10 minutes. And with like a laser beams, you can work on some issue, some problem in your life. That's amazing, you know. You can like slow down, during 20 minutes you can make a progress which will organically took you years on something.
Okay. Have you done ayahuasca?
Yeah, twice. It
And
was
you
very
think,
harsh for me,
uh, and
very difficult.
you think Bufo was easier?
It's completely different. It's like there is a huge space and oneness for every person. It's completely different.
And I think it's also like a lot of people ask me like where do I go to ayahuasca sim? Like I think people are different and we get called to different medicines. You know, like I say, like, cactus medicine is grandfather and ayahuasca is grandmother. And I say acid is like your uncle and mushrooms are like the little children. And it's kind of like, okay, I have this issue in life. Who do I want to help me with this issue? Do I want to speak to my grandmother? Do I want to speak to my grandfather? Do I want to ask little kids to help me? Because I think all psychedelics are just windows into the same house of consciousness. They're just like it's all the same thing. We're all the same thing. It's just giving you different perspectives to look at it through. And I think different people need different lenses. So for me, like people have been telling me with my art for way before I ever drank ayahuasca, people would be like, "This is ayahuasca art. This looks like ayahuasca." People would say that to me all the time, and I was like, "Okay, I don't know." And then as soon as I drank it, I was like, "Whoa, this is my realm." And it's hard to say what that means. Like, is it past life? Like is it something, and I lived in Latin America right after college. So I've lived in Latin America for like 4 years. So I clearly have this like something about the jungle, like really something about the jungle and the medicine of the jungle feels like home and familiar to me. And I think everyone has kind of different, maybe we're all different alien species or something. I don't know.
Maybe I think we don't know much about life yet. That we are already trying to figure out, you know, what is possible. Life is absolutely amazing, and the secret of life is fascinating, right? That we don't know where we came from, we don't know where we're going. Uh,
It's
do you
the
believe do you believe in magic?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Magic
How do
is
you,
real.
you think about magic? Like what is popping up to your mind if you think about this word magic?
Who? Well, magic is real, and it is, at different times in my life, I would have very different answers to this question because I went through a thing that went on for about 6 months. For instance, I was driving in my car and I was lost. I was at a festival and I got lost and I didn't know how to get home. And I was like, fuck. And I didn't have cell phone service and I'm in the middle of nowhere. And I turn on the radio and I start listening to the radio. And the songs on the radio started telling me the street signs. As
Wow.
I'm driving, the song says a word and then I saw the street sign and I was like, well, fuck it. I have no other way to do this. So I'm just gonna listen to random, it was like 90s radio songs. And it was like taking me through these back roads, and it took me directly to my house. And like I've had so many experiences like that, which like people, it sounds crazy, you know, but there was a time in life where I was so tapped into that that it was just happening in every second, in every moment. It was like I could listen, like hear a bird chirping, and it would tell me about something that was going to happen, or like where this stone was sitting, or just like the interconnectivity of life is massive. Like everything is complete. It's like a circuit board, you know? It's like I think I changed what I was doing with my art at that time to being a interdimensional switchboard operator. It's like I was all
Interdimensional switchboard operator. That's interesting.
interdimensional switchboard operator. Like I was playing this role of this like other dimensional creature. Like I wasn't human at that point, which is a weird thing to say, but I feel like I've had to come back to my humanness because I was having a hard time just living life because everything was so connected and I could see the connections within everything all of the time and every second. And it was beautiful and it was magical and it was wonderful and it was terrifying. And I think that is it. Like you can kind of choose the level of magic, and I don't know, I think our culture now calls it like awokeness, you know, like being awake, awakened. But I think that's something that is always changing. It's always in flux. And it's not like being in a higher vibration is better than being in a lower vibration. It's just that if you have the ability to go really high and really low, that can help you because you can navigate, you know, we're always doing this. Um, so yeah, magic changes all the time. Like magic is whatever you put your energy into and want to like decode, you can get there. Like the capacity for the human mind and it's infinite, you know, and like look how much things have changed in the world in like 5 or 10 years. You know, it's like the things that we can do are absolutely infinite. And I think the awareness is like knowing that it's like this and not thinking, oh, I'm high vibrating, so I'm at the top always. You know, that's when the ego, that's ego, you know, it's
Yeah.
not, yeah.
So, what are your boldest dreams for now?
Oh shit, I don't know. Like that's the thing. Like I build like giant psychedelic creatures, which is such a weird, it's weird because sometimes, you know, after psychedelic journeys, I'm like, what am I doing? Or like I'll have moments where I'm out in my yard and I'm building a like 45-foot tall like psychedelic creature. And I'm like, what is this? Like, what am I doing? What is my life? Like, what the fuck? And then always magic. Something comes in that reminds me. Like a person will, you know, I'm painting and someone comes up and just starts crying and telling me how much it helped them and how much my art has impacted them. And honestly, like for a while, I got a little bit jaded or like I couldn't take it in when people be like, I love your art so much. It changed my life. I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But then when I got really low in some moments, then it kind of like made me reappreciate when people say that to me now. It hits different. And I think that's just getting older or like doing a practice for longer and longer. And you actually start to appreciate how much other people connect with it. Because honestly, in my 20s, I didn't really care if other people liked it or not. It was just like, I'm doing this weird stuff because what else am I going to do? And life is weird. And I still, I don't know. It's like back and forth, you know, and I see how much it just opens people's minds to what's possible and like to be weird and to be unique because that's the only way we're going to solve things on the planet is if people are creatively thinking and thinking for themselves and discovering like there's so much higher technology out there to help us. And when I say technology, I mean, you know, from nature too. It's not just you know, natural technologies and biomimicry and like learning from the plants. So yeah, if you're familiar with like biomimicry, I think this is something that ayahuasca is doing. Like we are learning how to maybe see the world and see vibrations as this vine sees them, you know? So we're getting like other levels of ways to like pick up vibrations from,
It's very interesting.
for instance, like I had a experience with ayahuasca where I was talking to all the bugs. The bugs were making all these like crazy noises, and I was like, for some reason, like during that ayahuasca ceremony, I could make the same noises as the bugs. And it was
Wow.
very, very trippy. And I was just, and then I got out of like 2 days later, you know, I went to go tell my friends, I was like, hey, I know how to talk like a bug. And I did it. And of course, you know, it wasn't that at all, you know, and it was just like in that moment, I was able to like feel vibrations like the bugs were. And I don't know, it's yeah, how do you explain something like that?
I mean, for me, it's very natural. I mean, it's not like it's very hard to believe that. Uh, but referring to your dreams, so the because from the outside it looks like you are already living a dream as a psychedelic artist,
Yeah.
doing what you love to do. It's your passion. It's you can express yourself. But is there anything else you like to like? You get some plans or dreams about going like the next step farther than what
Well,
you did
I'm
right now?
very single. I mean, I've spent so much time on my art that I think I overlooked some relationships in my life. And that was some of the things that ayahuasca taught me too. And it's just like balance. It's always finding balance because I can just be like, I'm gonna reach these goals in my art and like conquer these dreams. And sometimes I'm like that. And then when it comes down to it, it's like who you're sharing them with and the people that you're around and the ways that you're interacting with the world. And then you get sick of the people and you go back to making art all the time. And you know, it's always I think it changes with the seasons what I want. And I think if we just put ourselves at one dream and one goal and think that if we get to this one point, everything will be good, it's such a lie. It's such like a
Yeah, it is.
capitalist, it's like such a capitalist, like, I mean, probably American like take, you know, like, oh, I just got to do this one thing and then everything will be good. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's ego, right?
Yeah.
Ego. What is your relationship with your ego?
I lost it completely for a long time and it made me really sad
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I
because
thought in a good way.
I mean, it was good, but I got really depressed. I had no self-confidence. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in what I was doing. And I think to be an artist, you have to have somewhat of an ego. You just have to have a healthy ego. Like, no ego is you are just one with everything all the time and you have no individuality, which I think everyone needs to go to that place. Some people more than others, you know? You gotta like chop it all down and become one with everything and feel the beat of the universe. But then you're allowed to become you again. And that's like regrowing your ego in a place that's healthy, in a place that's like benefiting other people and making yourself healthy. And yeah, because you know, I have a style. I mean, my art, I have a style that I've been growing my whole life. And that comes from an ego, you know, that's a sense of self. And I don't think we can completely lose our sense of self. Like I don't think that that's not the human experience, you know? But I
Well,
think
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I also have spent most of my life making art. So I've spent pretty much my whole time alone with my thoughts. And I recognize that there's a lot of people that haven't had the time for that. You know, like they are busy or they're always doing this or that. Like, you know, how much does the average person spend just like with themselves and with their own thoughts? And I think artists in general, especially, you know, visual artists, we spend so much more time sitting by ourselves, just because when you're painting, you're just processing and you're just, and so yeah, I think that's why artists are, leading society, and almost in, I think we're leading society in a big way, but nobody really knows it, so we're kind of doing it like under the radar because we're making all these visual cues for people and we're leading the way, but it's kind of like not the same as like a rock musician leads the way where they're standing on the stage and everyone's cheering for them. The visual artists are like in their houses with their cats. Like there's no one there, cheering, like paint the next stroke. So it's like we're like building and growing society from kind of the like lesser seen realms. It's like kind of like holding things together on the outskirts or something.
Yeah, but you already have tens of thousands of people watching you creating, and I think there's probably hundreds of thousands of people who's gonna see, and later millions who's gonna see your art and your beautiful craziness. Do you feel that pressure that it's growing? That people are.
Um, it feels good to hear you say that. I honestly feel like for the amount of time and effort I've put into my art, I feel like I deserve a bigger following, honestly. And that's not even like, not just Instagram, because how much can you make that define your career? But it's kind of weird that it did. But yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes, yeah, I would love to see my art get a lot bigger and go a lot farther. Um, and I also think that, yeah, just getting it more into like the mainstream realm. Um, yeah, but I don't know. But for me, I just kind of have to keep doing what I'm doing. And of course, I want that, but I can't be like that can't be like the purpose. I
No, it
don't
shouldn't be,
know.
right?
Yeah, I don't know.
The dancing with the beauty of it should be the purpose. Like the journey should be the purpose, right?
Right. Yeah.
You said it's a beautiful term, healthy ego, and referring to the past topic we talked about. During some sessions with mushroom, I experienced, and mushroom even showed me that, referring to magic, that the the mushroom was able to took over the algorithm of YouTube Music or Spotify, and was playing during the session completely different music, like which was fully aligned with your heart and your state of consciousness. It's mind blowing. For some people, it could be really hard to believe. What do you think about music regarding your art and psychedelics? Like a lot of people say that during the session with ayahuasca, music is like a vehicle of helping you move through the whole
Yeah.
experience.
I think, well, I have an interesting relationship with music because I worked like music festivals a lot. I overworked them because that's how I was able to support myself as an artist. So I had like a kind of hard relationship with live music because, live painting is kind of new, but in the beginning of the scene, I'd be working with this tiny little brush, like working so hard, and there'd be a bunch of drunk people like bumping into me and like spilling their beer and stuff. And I went through a lot of that, and a lot of like, because people are going to concerts a lot to like party and let loose, and I'm there like trying to do these tiny little strokes and just not feeling respected. And I think that's like a lot of, visual artists have that. And so it kind of was like, which is totally different from me, like listening to music in my house when I'm painting. So that's like a whole different experience too. It's like the experience of music, like being at a concert to me is totally different because I get all the stimulation. I'm like such a feeling person that I feel the crowd and I feel all the things happening. So it's different than when I'm just like in my house and able to like focus on the music. So like I could hear the same band live and have a totally different experience than if I take it and like bring it into my living room. But pretty much when I'm painting, listening to music, I go back and forth between ayahuasca music, which I like the Yawanawa music a lot. It's like the really fast, like uppy. I really like Yawanawa. Um, and then when I get too serious and I've gone through too much ayahuasca chanting, then I change it to like 90s alt rock.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like to like 90s like upbeat like I don't know, classic music. And then, so I think it's a balance.
Mhm. Okay, so you don't feel that pressure of more and more people, because I think you can be a beautiful, magical inspiration for a lot of artists right now who are starting to be in this space of expressing themselves.
I'm trying to get over right now. I'm struggling with wanting to help younger artists, but feeling like they kind of don't get it. Or
Mhm.
they like will steal my ideas and not say thank you. And I get that and I see it and I also know that I was like that when I was like 23, 24. You're like hungry. You know, you just like want to make it and it's like a little I'm like it can be a hard demographic to work with, you know, because you know, and not everyone can know your story, you know, like how much work and effort and time. You know, someone's like, "Oh, I want to be an artist. Teach me real quick." Like, you know, it's there, and when people ask me that a lot, I'm like, my advice is to don't listen to anyone. Like, if you're a true artist, you have to get it from your own self-sourcing. Like, you, if you're gonna listen to all my advice, you're not, I'm doing you an injustice, you know? And I think for me, it's like to encourage people to be their own unique expression of themselves and find their own art and their own path because like we constantly need new paths in art. Always needs like new avenues and new ventures. Like I don't want to give someone something that I've done. I'm like create a new path, carve a new way, especially people that are younger. I'm like you have a totally different program than me. Like
Yeah,
you have a
exactly.
different programming, so go help me. Like go find something new. Like you have the new energy, so you go discover something new and then tell me about it, you know? And I think it's I guess that kind of helps talking through it. It being more like a symbiotic relationship where everyone can help everyone and feel like everyone's being authentic and unique. So you're not worrying about someone stealing your ideas or trying to be you because why? Like I just don't understand that just like perplexes me when artists like copy other artists. I can't understand it. You know, it's like and I think also it's like how do I be an artist? I'm like, well, in the time it's going to take you to ask me these questions, go like smear some paint around. You know, it's
Yeah.
like it's such like a doing. For me it's such like a practice and like as much as someone could tell me about it, I wouldn't listen. I would just like look around my house and see what looks cool. Or I when I first started making art, I went to school for large scale sculpture and I made art with wood and metal, these like big sculptures out of wood and metal. And I would just go hiking and walking in the woods until I found like a cool shaped wood. And that's what informed my sculpture, you know? So it was literally like just walking in the woods and finding something that inspires you, you know? And what inspires you? It's different for everyone.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Have you ever had a piece of art coming to life and start communicating with you?
Oh, yeah, a
That's a
lot.
beautiful thing. What
A
happened
lot.
actually? Do you remember some good story?
Pretty much all of my paintings, I feel that way about them.
They come to life and they communicate all the time?
Yeah. They talk to each other, they talk to me, they talk to other people. It's fucking crazy. The people that buy my paintings and the stories that come out of it years later are like, oh, it's so trippy. It's almost like I can't even because there's like people that have bought my paintings that will tell me stuff that I'm just like, whoa, I can't. It's like you're putting out tentacles of yourself. And I've sold like 1,000 paintings. So if I think about the paintings as being little portals to like my consciousness, and I'm like putting out these little portals everywhere, and they're going off and leading their own lives and getting their own connections. Like I think of my paintings as entities, as beings. I think that when I'm painting, I'm always creating a being and an entity. And that's kind of like I know a painting is finished when it fully comes to life. You know, when it fully like yeah, it gives me, and usually when I'm painting, I'm just like going through the motion, you know, it's just happening. And then after I'm done, I look at the painting and I'm like, wow. And I see things in it that are like deep symbols or meanings or creatures that have come to me in ayahuasca ceremony. But it's not like I see the creature and then I paint it. I'm just painting, not thinking about what I'm painting. And then I step back and all of a sudden it's there, you know? So
There.
it's like, it's like filtering out and I don't know what's coming out until it's there. And then, yeah, I'm looking at probably like I have like 40 paintings going on at one time right now.
Oh, really? Wow, that's a big number.
I can show you.
So you have this feeling that can you show us around?
Yeah.
A
It's not,
bit.
it's like a little bit messy right now, but can you see it?
Yeah, sure. Oh my gosh, this one is so beautiful. It looks so real. A lot of people had a problem with describing what they seen during the psychedelic sessions. Is this one representing something specifically, or is it just about
Oh, it
dancing
always
colors?
it always just like comes through me and yeah, it's hard to describe. It just kind of I'm just painting these little patterns. And then this one I did over the winter time, which my paintings in the winter tend to be more like asymmetrical. They're deeper. They're deeper and um yeah, but this is a whole story. I can't even go into it. But after I painted it, I look at it and there's all these so many beings. It's like a storyboard of so many different things for me. Yeah, it's hard to.
Really so beautiful. It's like I love the colors. It's got beautiful vibe around. Wow,
That's
this
another
one is superbly beautiful, magical.
one. That's another one.
Do you have like your favorite paintings?
No, it's the one I'm working on.
Mhm.
It's usually my favorite, and then
This one has a beautiful frame.
this one is a really big one.
There's a being entity. Mhm.
Yeah, that's one that I've been working on for a while. Uh,
What was the longest time you've been working on a piece of work?
I mean, I've picked up a painting that I started like 8 or 9 years ago and finished it. So it's not like I'm working on it consistently that whole time. But yeah, there's a couple more here. And so these are all like pretty much finished, but they're all like 80 or 90%. So there's another hat. Good. And
The color. Oh, there's another hat.
another hat.
You
This is
mentioned
the
that
one I'm
all
working
hats
on
are
right
sold
now.
out, right? The website. This was the last one, the one
Yeah,
I
yeah,
purchased. From you?
that one I wear.
Oh, that's yours, private.
Yeah. Well, I could maybe sell it, but I've worn it a lot, so they probably want it new. Um, yeah. So this one is one that I did in Costa Rica um
This one is
earlier this year.
so beautiful.
Yeah, the symmetry, like this symmetrical style, I think is what I got known for.
The
And
level of details is just unbelievable.
yeah, it's kind of like a ayahuasca journey. Like I can go deeper. Like it's like I don't know when to stop sometimes because it can always go deeper. You know, you can always get smaller and more detailed and more detailed. And that's interesting
Like the
too.
fractals, right? Like the
Yeah.
Mandelbrot said.
Yeah,
different.
exactly.
Mhm. Beautiful.
This is like this is the older one.
Do you see a change in your art? Like if you looked at paintings like 5 years, 10 years old and
Uh,
now?
well, yes, but it's also that I can do them a lot like smoother and quicker now. Um, it's always been kind of similar, but now I'm just like they're just more like fine-tuned. Like it's really precise. Like what used to take me like 3 months, I can do in a weekend, you know.
I see that your house already look like a psychedelic art museum.
It is one. I think it's, honestly for me, I'm trying to open it. It's funding. That's the main thing. It's just funding it.
Mhm.
So I have no trouble building things. I'm like, that's where I'm good at. But building things and creating things. But sometimes, a lot of the things that I really want to make aren't necessarily sellable. So it's like just finding the sweet spot.
How about your dreams? Like when you dream, do you have some vivid, inspiring dreams?
Oh, they're so weird. Um,
I imagine.
yeah, and a lot of times, like, I don't know, I got really into it for a while and was like using my dreams to inform everything about my life. And I think it got a little crazy. I lost it a little bit. Like, cause yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. I think that's like deciphering too has been a big thing I'm working on now. It's like,
Mhm.
do I take every little thing literally from my dream, And I don't know. Um, a lot of like abstract things. Um, yeah, it depends. It also depends if I'm smoking weed or not. That affects my dreams a lot.
Does it affect your art? It helps you to create or
Um,
relax your body and mind?
I kind of go back and forth with it. Like I like to do like a little bit helps me, but if I start doing it a lot, it makes me like tired and foggy. But if I do it just like, as a medicine, just like I think that's the thing when something is a medicine or a drug. I think when it's a medicine, you're using it just a little bit to like recalibrate and get some perspective. And then when it's a drug, it's like you need it all the time. And I think that's like to refer to things as a medicine instead of being a drug is where you can't function without these things, then it's not good.
And I got another important question. Like, do you feel like completely free in or do you feel that system politics somehow are limiting you, restricting you from your expressions and
Well,
creativity?
I think that's the only reason I became an artist because I would like when I was like 10 years old, I was already yelling about how everything was fucked up. Like when I was really young and really frustrated with the world. And it's hard for me to explain, like people would say I was like a challenging kid because I was just really like, no, fuck, like, no, like respect for authority. I was always like, I was very rebellious and just did whatever I wanted because the systems didn't ever make sense to me. Like so many of the systems that we use, they never have made sense to me. And so, I think from a young age, I was like, okay, so it wasn't like, oh, I want to be an artist. It was like, what can I do so that I don't have to follow the rules of the system? Like, how do I live a life so that I can try to make my own rules? Um, and I worked all kinds of weird, odd jobs and things for sure. But yeah, I always, my mom was a nurse and I always was really into like herbal medicine and not the natural way of doing things. So we always kind of butted heads about that. She was very much into like Western medicine and Yeah, I just never really trusted, like even in school as a kid, I never like trusted like most of my teachers. Like I would have a teacher and I would be like, you are cool, like I get you, I will listen to you. But if I had a teacher and I just didn't like them, I just wouldn't, I just like I wasn't yeah, I think I was just like a rebellious, and I think a lot of people in my generation were like that. We saw the system failing. Like a lot of people that are where I am right now have been seeing the system failing for so long. So right now, when it's actually more obvious to the rest of the world, we're like, yeah, we've been saying that, you feel like a broken record sometimes because you're like, yeah, the medical system is ripping us off. And like, I don't know. I'm not that much into politics or politics.
I'm not into politics at all. I just ask you about,
It doesn't really.
if you feel free, you in your heart, deeply in your heart, do you feel free to create today, or system somehow is interrupting you with that?
Well, I mean, it changes all the time. Like I honestly, making money with my art has changed the way that I am as an artist, and I can't deny that. Like who know? I think I would be making things that are way better and bigger and more amazing if I didn't have to think about that. And I think that's just the way that, but I also feel a lot of gratitude that I'm able to support myself in this way, because how many people that are artists have to go work a boring job and then come home and make their art. So I'm grateful, but I also think that, yeah, I mean, I think the art world always needs more support. We always need more support to be creative, I think. But I think part of the reason why I live the way that I do, like I not quit, but I made the decision when I was young in my 20s, was I going to go to these big fancy galleries, or was I going to go live in the jungle and learn how to grow food and learn how to build a house and learn how to live with nature? So I kind of had this decision where I could go into this like upscale fancy art gallery right out of college and just go straight into like the fine art world, which everyone was wearing black suits and they were really like, I don't know, like contemporary art world. And then I was like, or I can go to the jungle. And something in me was like, you have to learn how to grow food, you have to learn how to farm, you have to learn how to build things with your hands and work with wood. My grandfather was also a wood carver. And I always like, there's a difference with art to me. I can see it in someone that's just, you look at the contemporary and the modern art world and they're like painting a canvas blue and charging 50 grand for it. It's like the trendiness versus like actually connecting and like actually spending time learning about things and putting it into your art as like a deeper practice. Yeah.
So, isn't it beautiful that the psychedelics are legalizing and decriminalizing? Like in Poland, this process is way behind, what we
What
have
is it
here in.
in Poland? What is it in Poland?
Uh, like here in States, weed is legal, right, for a couple years. Over there, it's gonna take another couple years before it will happen, and then mushrooms, and then
Well,
everything
it's
else.
still illegal in North Carolina.
But we have very progressive areas here, like Colorado and Washington, right, when they are pushing the envelope to give us the freedom to everything.
Yeah. I think it's really good. I also get kind of nervous of the Western medicine takeover of psychedelics and them trying to make like pills, and I
It's
don't know.
already happening. It's already
Yeah.
happening. There's a couple companies in US with billions of dollars in their budget trying to turn psychedelics into medicine, a very effective medicine. So,
Well, maybe I don't know. It's hard for me to judge. I mean, but it's always like Look at coca, for example, in Peru. It's a beautiful medicine that's been used for healing. You chew on the
Which
leaf.
one?
Coca.
Coca?
Coca, you have the coca leaves and it's a wonderful tea, or you can chew on the leaves for elevation. But we took the coca and we made it super, super concentrated and into this powder, and now it's cocaine. And it's
You mean
like,
like cacao, right? The
no,
that's what
like
you mean.
cocaine,
Okay.
not cacao. And we made it like super concentrated, and it's like, why must we make it so powerful and so strong? Why can't we just like let it be as it is and like take it? And I think that's something that Western medicine does. It takes things and it tries to make it like super potent, like extreme version. And it's like, why? Like, why are we? I don't know. It almost seems like not respecting the plant when you're doing that, you know? You're like, yeah, supercharging it or something.
Yeah, is it because of greed?
Maybe. Yeah, we want like, yeah,
It
probably.
is probably most people don't realize that source of abundance is absolutely unlimited, right? And most people don't realize that we can create this abundance just by ourselves. We don't need to take from anyone.
It's true.
And what do you think about like working with technology, like with AI? Do you try to combine your art, your
No, I'd say a lot of the artists that are my friends are very upset about it right now. It's like a big deal and they're very mad. And a lot of them are leaving Instagram because of it. And for me, this sounds weird, but I don't really care. Like what I make is with my hands. I build things. That's where the love for it for me is. I don't want to make things on a computer. Like some people enjoy that process of computer digital, but for me, like using Instagram to show my work, and I do that for like an hour, sometimes 2, 3 hours a day, that's plenty. I don't want to, like, when I get to go and touch art and move it and play with it and feel it, that's when it is like medicinal for me. And I think that other people are going to feel that way too. Like this, I think it's just a wave. It's like a trendy thing right now to make art with AI. And I think it's going to blow up and everyone's going to be like, yo, AI art. And then it's going to be like, oh, but look at this handmade art. So I think ultimately it's going to give more value to artists that stay true to their craft and make things with their hands. Cause I don't know. I just have to believe that that will always be valued. And I think that will also develop a sense and an eye for when things are digital and when they're not. Because, like the symmetry that I do, where you're looking at the painting and it's perfectly symmetrical, I do that all with my own hand and my own eyes, no tools. And it looks different than when you look at symmetry that's digitally created. Because when you look at like digitally created symmetry, it's kind of like cold. It's like exact. But when you look at organic symmetry, it's like a little bit wavy. It's like you can feel the humanness in it. You can feel the emotion in it because it's like looking at a tree. It looks symmetrical, but it's actually like got like, you know, variation to it. And I think digital things are too perfect. It's too perfect that it's not calming to our eye. It's like too rigid. And I'm really sensitive to it. Like I think that I can almost always tell if something was like computer made or handmade, but I've looked at a lot of art and I recognize that, a lot of people don't have that kind of sense, but I don't know.
okay, so you don't have this urge within you to use technology to like the layers of creating it, or
Not really. I've also
okay,
been around a lot of techie people. I dated a guy. Yeah, I've been around some people that were very, very into that. And it didn't seem like it was very good for their health. And I think that I don't think humans were made to sit in front of a screen all day. I pretty much my time painting. So if I spent all that much time looking at a screen, I think I would just not be happy. Yeah.
At the end, I would like to ask you, well, like, what was the most mind-bending, astonishing thing you experienced during the session with psychedelics?
Oh, I mean,
Like
honestly,
a very deep message, maybe.
it wasn't well on the psychedelics because when I was on the well, there's so many things. Like
Maybe it doesn't have to refer psychedelics. Like, what was the most astonishing,
I
I don't
think for
know,
me, it's when I started
experience?
feeling like I was on psychedelics on a random Wednesday. For me, it was like, psychedelics, I've been up in space and talking to aliens and had the world drop out for me. And so I've been through so many realms and rooms and insects doing surgery on my body, like a giant praying mantis creature, like cutting me open and like readjusting all my organs and being face to face with these. I mean, it's endless. But the thing to me is 6 months after doing a ayahuasca ceremony, I'm waking up in my house and I'm going on my porch, drink some coffee. All of a sudden, those things are coming back. Because when you're on psychedelics, you're like, oh, this is, the psychedelic doing it. But then when those things started coming into my regular life, I was like, oh shit, it's real. Like everything that I experienced, like, and that, that line, like, what's real? Like, because I've seen things totally sober that are way trippier because an ayahuasca ceremony, I'm pretty much surrendered. Like anything could happen. But you don't expect that when you're waking up to like have your coffee in the morning, and I think it's humans getting conditioned to like the things that we've been seeing aren't exactly what they appear to be. And like there's so many dimensions. Like I see dimensional reality like an accordion. So like you can you can go and visit other dimensions like it's infinite. There's like infinite dimensions going. Like we see it as like heaven hell, like it's like this, but I think it's like this. And you can go really wide and like stretch yourself and see all these things, and you can swing back and it's infinite. It's infinite. And I think a lot of us are staying in this right here. And then the more you do psychedelics, you're kind of stretching yourself to see more and more of the dimensions. And the more that you open your mind, the more that we're stretching to see, and the more like trippy things about the world are coming to light. And we're just expand. I mean, it's evolution.
But isn't it amazing that 90, maybe even 95% of people don't know what ayahuasca is still nowadays?
Yeah, that's so crazy to me. Yeah. But I also think it's inherent in us. Like ayahuasca is just helping us see it. But I think we all like like, you know, layered reality to where you can see like the grid, you see like things dissolving and you see, I'm sitting on a couch, but is like, does this exist in all the realities? Like how solid is everything? We're all just a bunch of atoms. We're all just a bunch of wiggles and dots. When you break everything down, it's just like wiggles and dots. And how far, yeah, yeah, I don't know. The mystery.
Have you heard about ibogaine? Ibogaine. That's a very diverse strong medicine. Do you
I've
have some
never
experience?
tried it. No.
It's calling me now for past couple months. Very heavy. But I heard it's a superbly harsh, challenging experience.
From
It
Africa,
takes
right?
like 2 days, right?
It's from Africa.
Yeah, from Africa. There's a a lot of people going there for like resetting the whole nervous system. You can even erase your cell memory. It's great for people who are burned out, great for addictions. Uh, it's a good idea to go to the place like this for like 2, 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I think it's all just like I'm maybe what you're saying is right, you know, we'll have like so many other psychedelics coming about, but I think they're all just guiding us to the same. Yeah.
That's a very deep question. Like, what's going on here, right?
Yeah.
What is life all about? So, Ashley, can you tell our viewers where we can follow your art, where we can see your art? Are you
Um,
mostly on the
well,
Instagram? We're gonna
yeah.
post some links in the descriptions.
Yeah, Instagram is Spero Art with Spero with an underscore and then art. And my website is, yeah, there you go. My website is spiroart.org. And I'm always loving to travel and paint murals. So I like when interesting people commission me to paint a mural because it's like I can go and visit somewhere and I can paint something that is inspired by the place where I'm at. So it expands me as an artist and it usually, you know, fits the person because I'm painting. It's kind of like catered to where I am and who I'm with. So that's something that I like doing. Yeah, my sculptures, I'm here and then I travel to different places sometimes. So yeah.
You mentioned that you love travel. You mentioned that you were going to see your Polish friends, Polish roots recently. Did you
My
go to
mom
Poland or?
my mom wants to go in August or September, so we're still trying to figure it out. You know, it's different traveling with my mom than it would be on my own. So yeah, we'll see. I would love to.
How is your mom viewing your tripping art?
She's gotten used to it. She doesn't, I mean, she's more mainstream, but I think, you know, if we get into this whole thing, my Polish family were magical people, and a lot of people didn't take that right. You know, like her two sisters were very like now we call it magical, but in their time they were seen as crazy. And a lot of times magical, artistic, creative people are seen as crazy. So that's something that I think our society has really evolved in. So yeah, my mom had to be she wanted to be American. You know, and I think that happens a lot. You know, you kind of like conform in a way. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like, isn't it amazing? Like two generations ago, your family was struggling in the concentration camps, fighting for life, and now you can express this beautiful psychedelic trippy art
It's
in an
amazing.
energy of freedom and
I mean, the thing
travel all
that I'm most
over, right?
grateful for is that I've never had to experience war, and that's something you can't take lightly, man. Like yeah, I just feel really lucky that I've never had to experience that, especially right now, you know?
All right, Ashley, is there something else you would like to mention, like maybe to younger generation or like?
I talked a lot.
So there's just would like to thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
Be more than happy to support your art. We're gonna post the links in the descriptions, and I wish you a beautiful journey to Poland and beautiful journey through life. I
Thank
hope
you,
we stay in
Robert.
touch.
Thank you for being so persistent and making this happen. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your head. It's a really beautiful, magical head.
Yay, thank you. Enjoy.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.